This is ILTV on the Hour, bringing you the biggest stories from Israel and the Middle East in just 5 minutes. I'm Sivan Raviv, and today is day 636 of the war in Gaza. Let's get into all the top headlines at this hour. We begin with Israel advancing efforts to finalize a comprehensive truce and hostage deal before Prime Minister Netanyahu's visit to Washington, D.C. next week. The plan, if reached, would include a full ceasefire in Gaza and the return of all 50 remaining hostages, both living and deceased. Reports say Netanyahu is now open to this framework for the first time ahead of his meeting with President Donald Trump. Hamas is expected to respond to the proposal today, though finalizing the deal could still take time. Key issues remain on the table, including the release of Palestinian prisoners, the phased withdrawal of IDF forces from Gaza, and the flow of humanitarian aid. Netanyahu stated that when the war ends, the hostages will come home and Hamas will be gone. Let's take a listen.
לא יהיה חמאס, לא יהיה חמאסטן, לא חוזרים לזה, הדבר הזה נגמר. אנחנו נשחרר את כל חטופינו ואנחנו נכריע את החמאס. לא יהיה, לא יהיה. לא באמת, איך אפשר להגיד את זה? זה שתי מטרות נוגדות, איזה שטויות, איזה שטויות. זה עובד ביחד, אנחנו נשלים את זה ביחד. בניגוד למה שאומרים, לא יכול, אי אפשר לעקור, אי אפשר אנחנו נחסל אותם עד יסוד.
Furthermore, for the first time since they were abducted on October 7th, video footage has emerged of two Israeli hostages, Bar Kuperstein and Maxim Herkin, held in Gaza for 636 days. In the harrowing clip, the men say, "We are dying here with a pulse. We don't feel human." Their families authorized the video's release as a public outcry against any partial hostage deal. Now is not the time for cruel selections, the families said. Hamas is considering a ceasefire proposal. Arab media is reporting that Hamas is satisfied with the guarantees it has received in the most recent mediated truce proposal to end the war in Gaza. The reports say that Hamas believed that President Trump's expected announcement of the ceasefire, if reached, would demonstrate that the U.S. is the guarantor and clear sponsor for its implementation. While the Qatari-mediated plan closely mirrors earlier U.S. proposals, there's growing optimism that Hamas may accept this time amid reported pressure from Qatar. Hamas is expected to give its official response to the proposal today after Israel has already given its okay. The proposed agreement includes the release of 10 Israeli hostages in stages, along with the return of the bodies of 18 others. In return, a 2-month ceasefire would begin, with talks continuing on a permanent end to the conflict. One major sticking point remains: the scope of IDF withdrawals from Gaza. That issue is still under negotiation. It's day 636 of the war in Gaza. The IDF says 19-year-old Sergeant Yaniv Mikhailovich from Rehovot was killed and 8 others were wounded in 2 separate incidents in northern Gaza. In the first, terrorists launched RPGs at a building housing soldiers. Minutes later, a tank was struck while responding, killing Mikhailovich and injuring others. The army also announced it had eliminated 2 terrorists responsible for killing 7 IDF soldiers in Khan Yunis last week. Meanwhile, the IDF issued new evacuation orders for several Gaza City neighborhoods after 2 Hamas rockets were intercepted. Civilians are being directed to the humanitarian zone in Al-Mawasi. And moving on to Washington, D.C., where in a rare show of bipartisan unity, Democratic Congressman Josh Gottheimer and Republican Congressman Mike Lawler introduced the Bunker Buster Act. The bill would authorize President Trump to transfer B-2 stealth bombers and GBU-57 bunker-busting bombs to Israel if Iran is found to be continuing its nuclear weapons pursuit. The move follows recent U.S. and Israeli airstrikes on Iranian nuclear sites and aims to deter Iran from rebuilding its program. If passed, the bill would give Israel unprecedented operational access to top-tier U.S. weaponry, though not permanent ownership. Lawmakers say the goal is to strengthen Israel's defense and shift regional power dynamics. That's a wrap on ILTV on the Hour, live from Israel and the Middle East. We give you updates every hour on the hour, so tune back in for our next edition of ILTV on the Hour for more updates as developments unfold. I'm Sivan Raviv. Thank you so much for watching.